We can go higher than that.
God damn it. What the hell?
Take it back, what's ours?
You can't let that last one get away.
Boys, go find out about those horses down below.
Hey everyone, Mr. EVV here. So today I am finally going to be reviewing Red Dead Redemption 2. This is a game I have been wanting to talk to you guys about since the second I started playing it, because I knew right then and there that this was going to be a great game for sure. The reason my review is a month late, however, is because I actually just beat the game today. I wanted to take my time with this. I did not want to rush this game's storyline like I did with other games like Spider-Man. I really wanted to take my time with this, take in everything that the game had to offer so I could give you guys my full thoughts after I had done everything there is to do. And I don't even think I've done everything there is to do. I just wanted to give myself that, big time span of playing this game, so I didn't feel like I was rushing myself. And that is something I'm so glad I did, because this is a masterpiece of a game for sure, and it is definitely going to win Game of the Year for me. I originally thought God of War was my #1 game, but this honestly took the cake. This is just such a fascinating game. The amount of detail that Rockstar Games has put into this is so goddamn good. It is completely unmatched. It took them 8 years to make this, and you can definitely see that from the second I started playing this. So the game is set in 1899 when the Age of Outlaws is coming to an end. You play as Arthur Morgan, who is a member of the Dutch Vanderlyn gang, as your group tries to survive from the different threats of the New World, such as other rival gangs and the law. One thing about the game, however, is that it is not super fast-paced. This is not an action thrill ride followed by set piece after set piece. There are some huge moments here like bank robberies and train heists, but what this game did was it took its time with its characters. It wanted to have this slower pace so you could really have these great interactions with these characters, build up your group so that when these bad things do happen to them, you actually cared. And that is something that Rockstar just excelled at here, was the storytelling. I cared for every single one of these characters. There are some moments in this game, some huge twists, that'll just completely change your mind on things. I loved following these characters throughout the entire game, and I loved playing as Arthur Morgan, who has quickly become one of my favorite video game protagonists of all time. He's such a great character. I absolutely loved him. He was so charismatic, and from beginning to end, he was so phenomenal. Now before I get on any further, I want to mention that this review will contain spoilers. This is such a long game, there's so much that happens here, and there's just so much to talk about in general that I feel like I have to kind of dive into some of those spoiler categories. So when I do get to those moments, I will warn you, I will tell you to skip ahead to a certain time where I'll basically just give you guys my final thoughts and get onto the rating. So the timestamp is coming up right now. So this game is set before the first Red Dead Redemption. That's something that pretty much everybody knows. It takes place 12 years beforehand, and like I said, you play as Arthur Morgan, who is basically a father figure for John Marston. So I've actually never played the original Red Dead Redemption. It is on my list right now of games to play after I've played this game, but I absolutely loved Arthur Morgan. He was so great, like I said. I loved how he was basically just telling John, how to live his life, saying how he should just leave this criminal life behind because it's not going to work out, it's not good, you have a family, live with them, live a normal life. That was something I loved, because Arthur once had a family, he had a girlfriend, he had a child, they both were murdered, and he understands the consequences of living a life as a criminal. And halfway through the game you end up getting tuberculosis, which was a huge shocker for me. I was not expecting that, and it's really emotional because you know right then and there that Arthur is going to die no matter what the fate is. So it all depends on the decisions you make from now on and how you interact with these characters. And that's something I absolutely love. There are multiple different endings, so there are endings where Arthur will get shot or stabbed or something like that by some of the characters, and then there's the ending where I got, the good ending, where you die staring at the sunset. So that's something that was really great about this game, was how it just gave you all these different endings. And how you can choose the path of these characters, and I just loved how Arthur, like I said, was this kind of like a mentor for John. That was something that I really enjoyed. So yeah, that's all I have to say for spoilers. I just want to talk about that little thing right there, because that was just something I really wanted to get into, to talk about how much I loved Arthur as a character, because I genuinely was sad when his character died. Definitely one of the best protagonists in a game, like I said, so it was pretty crazy, that moment when that happened. Alright, so back to non-spoiler stuff now. Like I said, overall the story here is just absolutely amazing. The campaign is really long. It's not 60 hours long like Rockstar Games said. I'd say it's closer to maybe 30 to 40, somewhere in there. I don't have a thing that tells me how long I've been playing the games for, hours, so I can't really tell you the exact number, but this is a really long game. The thing is, there are side quests and stuff here too, so most people aren't necessarily going to just straight up do all the missions. That's not what I did. I wanted to take my time, so I did a lot of the side quests whenever they would come up, and that way, you know, the overall experience did end up being longer, because I'm sure I could have beaten this in like a week, but like I said, I didn't want to rush this, so that's why this review is out later than that. But let's talk about the graphics for a second. The presentation here in general is just phenomenal. Rockstar has given us, honestly, in my opinion, the best graphics in a video game, and that is a huge statement, because for years I have said that Uncharted 4 has had the best graphics, and well, it still looks like damn amazing. That game is fantastic. I do think Rockstar wins here just because of the amount of detail they also packed into this. The graphics for sure are phenomenal. They are incredible on the Xbox One X with the 4K and everything, but there's also a ton of detail here as well. You'll be walking around, there'll be light shining through like your ear and your nose and stuff, cartilage, whatnot. You know, you kill animals, you put them on the back of your horse, and when you pick up those animals, the blood will still be there. You'll have to wash your horse. You have to clean your guns so that they, you know, don't get worn out and that kind of stuff. Looting takes place in real time. There's all these different things. There's a system, like a survival system, where if you don't eat, your character will get skinnier. That will affect your health, but it'll, you know, make your stamina better. If you eat too much, you'll get fatter, and then your health will go down, but your stamina will go down, but your health will go up. So there's all these different things like that that I thought were really, really cool. These different little aspects to the game. You know, you can buy different horses, you can go around, you'll find people on the road that might be like, you know, chained up or something, they're asking for your help to free them. You might come across people who are stuck in a bear trap. Just all these different little interactions you can do, and you can choose to help these people, you can choose to help them. You know, if you don't, you will get bad points, but it's not like the bad points are really gonna ruin your game. It'll just give you a different ending, so it's up to you to redeem yourself, hence the title. It's up to you to kind of create Arthur's story, and that's something that I loved. So just like I said, playing as this character through the game I loved. I love the detail that Red Dead Redemption, that Rockstar Games packed into this. They just did such an amazing job here, and they have to be, you know, rewarded for that for sure. Side missions, like I said, I love the side missions here too. It's not like the side missions were just really painfully average. They were great. You came across some hilarious characters in this game. There was one side mission I genuinely hated, where you're like chasing this little midget magician. That level was really stupid in my opinion, but it's not a deal. I'm not gonna care that much about that. I did love just all the interactions and stuff here. The open world map is without a doubt my favorite in a video game. I love open world games, and I just loved how this had so many different locations. Like, you could go to the desert, you could ride and, you know, go up into the mountains, go into the swamps where there's alligators. You could go into more modern cities like Saint Denis, where you have trams and that kind of stuff. So there's all these different little locations you can go to, and these locations themselves are huge. You can go to the barber, you can get a haircut, your hair grows in real time. This isn't like GTA where if you're clean shaven, all of a sudden you can just, you know, have a beard out of nowhere when you go to the hairdresser. You know, you have to grow your hair out over the game. That was something I really liked. So there's just all these little different things. So many different things that they put into this game. Houses are built over real time. You can walk by and people will be building houses, and then you'll come back, like, you know, maybe 15 hours later in your walkthrough, and yep, they're still building a house, or maybe it's done by now. So things like that I thought were just really, really cool. You know, stores will close at nighttime and open up in the morning. They'll move stuff inside. So there's just all these little things that made the world feel so alive for a video game. That's something that I just thought was really great on Rockstar's part. So they just did a great job with the details and everything here. The music is also great in this game. The soundtrack here is so great. It has this great western sound to it. The sound effects in general in this game are incredible. They have this great, like, you know, clangy western sound when bullets ricochet and that kind of stuff. So they did a great job with the sound design here. There are a lot of complaints coming as far as the gameplay goes. A lot of people are saying that Rockstar Games still hasn't figured out gunplay, and I kind of am half and half on this. I do think it is a little bit clunky for sure. It's not amazing or anything, but I do think it is a slight improvement over gameplay in like GTA 5. I think the shooting in that game is much worse. Here it does feel a little bit better for me, but I did notice as soon as I went into first person mode, the shooting just didn't work for me. I hate playing in first person in this game. I really think this game is meant to be played in third person. I still like that they give you the option for first person. I just don't think Rockstar is really ready for that. And if you turn off auto aim, it just doesn't feel right. The auto aim here, you know, that's kind of one of the problems with Rockstar's game, is that you're kind of forced to use auto aim. They immediately have it on anyways, and when you turn it off, it does feel really weird, and the aiming is much harder, and I found myself just dying way more, so I ended up just playing this with the auto aim on like they normally have it. But yeah, so the gameplay isn't like incredible, but I don't really have that many, like, I don't hate the gameplay here. There are some people that I think are, you know, really disliking the game because of that, and for me, I think it's a little bit of a negative, but I don't think it's a huge issue in the grand scheme of things. I still had a blast playing with this, so it's not a big issue for me overall, but everybody has their different views on that. I know that is a fact. So we've talked a lot about the pros. Let's talk about the cons for a little bit. I don't have that many here, honestly. I have a few things. They're more tiny things, basically things like the camera can be a little bit annoying when you're inside of buildings and you're trying to pick up things. I found sometimes my guy would just walk into things that I didn't want him to. It'd be a little bit frustrating. Just little things like that that kind of bugged me throughout, but none of these things were that big. The only real negative I do have is kind of the epilogue. So the epilogue in this game is actually like about 4 or 5 hours long. It is quite a long epilogue for sure. And like I said earlier, back into spoilers right now, by the way, after Arthur Morgan dies, you play as John, because Arthur, like I said, pretty much in this game sacrifices himself for John. He is going to die anyways, but he ends up sacrificing himself for John so that John can live a life with his family, and yeah, we all know that that ends up failing as well, which sucks, but I did really like how Arthur sacrificed himself and how you go on to play as John. And it's not that I disliked playing as John, but this is definitely a ending for fans of the first game. If you have not played the first game, this ending is not going to mean as much for you, so therefore it didn't mean it as much for me. And I know, like, this is where a ton of people would just be like, oh, well, then you shouldn't count it as a negative, because it's definitely a thing for players that have played the original. And I can see that. I've had games in the past where I'm a huge fan of the series, and later entries might have these levels that are purely for nostalgia, so I understand that. I just found the epilogue overall to be kind of slow. It did drag on a little bit for me, especially like the first half of the epilogue. I found it to be really slow, and it was nowhere near as good as the rest of the game. It was still great. I love the final mission when you're up in the mountains, and the original Red Dead Redemption theme is playing, and you're shooting all the guys, and you go up to kill Micah. That was great. I love that mission so much. But just leading up to that point in the epilogue, there are some things I liked, like building the house and the more, like, you know, those moments like that, but I just found overall the epilogue really wasn't as strong as the rest of the game. So that's really my only negative. And it's not a huge negative, like I said, because I understand that fans of the original game probably really enjoyed the epilogue because you're playing as John Marston, who, you know, is a great character. I actually do see a lot of people saying that they miss playing as Arthur, though, and they actually thought he was better, so I don't know where everybody stands on that. That's just kind of what I wanted to get out of the way. But overall, guys, in the long run, those little tiny nitpicks I had don't affect my opinion on the game overall. This is still a 10. This is still one of the best games I've played. Just a fantastic masterpiece overall. And I think if just go buy this game if you don't have it. It's so good. It's so damn good. You don't have to play the first one. I didn't play the first one, and I still thought this game was a masterpiece. So guys, do yourself a favor. Play Red Dead Redemption 2. You are not going to regret it. The multiplayer is coming out. I think at the end of November. They might push that a little bit further, I think, but that's something I can't wait to play because, you know, Rockstar just does such a great job with everything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this game goes in the future. And yeah, this is definitely the end of the year for me now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, and I'll see you next time where I'll be reviewing Fallout 76.